10 of 12. What do you mean? Jim asked curiously. Well, I was trying to get some sleep, but the problem of getting through Bastrop and across the river kept me up. It must have been late morning when we heard the gunshots. They sounded close, and we weren't sure what to do. We were hidden pretty well, so we decided Jeff and I would go see what was going on. The gunfire was further away than it sounded, but when we got close, we could see some ratty-looking dudes attacking an old farmhouse. Jeff and I knew we had to help whoever was in the house. We were between 300 and 400 yards away, and there was no way to get closer because it was all plowed field between where we were and the house. We spread out about 50 yards and each got behind a tree. The goblins were using the trees around the house for cover. They seemed to think they were safe as long as they had a tree between them and the house. When Jeff and I started shooting at them, we clipped one of them in the leg before they could figure out what was going on. When they scrambled around to get out of our line of fire, they took a hit from the house. That must have been enough for them because they ran off. Well, 2 of them limped off. A minute later, we heard a car or truck crank up and tear off down the road. Jeff and I walked up to the house to see if anyone was injured or if they needed help. When we were within 50 yards of the house, we heard her voice. "You boys hold it right there," she said, and I can still hear it. It sounded like a cross between a creaking board and a squeaky hinge. I told her we'd just come to see if anyone needed help. She stepped out onto the porch and told us that while she was appreciative of that, and that she was grateful for what we'd done, no one needed any help. She looked like she was at least 80 years old. In fact, she reminded me of Granny Hawkins from the outlaw Josie Wales. You know, the old lady in the store by the ferry? The movie Mike had mentioned was one of Mark's favorites, and he knew exactly who Mike meant. Was she smoking a corncob pipe? He asked his brother. No, I'd say she was more of the chewing tobacco type, Mike smiled. She was holding an old Savage lever-action rifle. She never pointed it at us, but the way she held it, you knew she could use it. I told her I was glad everyone was okay and that we'd go back to our families. She looked a little taken aback by that comment. She asked if we had kids. Then she asked where we were from and where we were going. She seemed to relax a little after we answered those questions. She asked if we had plenty to eat. I told her we didn't have plenty, but we were doing okay. She insisted we go get everyone and come back to her place for dinner.